Hey comic lovers, EMoney, the Old Man, and Thor the Dog of Thunder back here with you again for another exciting episode of Back Issues. You can tell Thor's excited. Alright, so today we are having our final installment in the history of comic books. And we are taking on the movie age.
Yep.
What is currently known as the modern age, but as time passes
It's the last part of the modern age.
Right.
The last part.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Alright, so...
Right? Last part of the modern... You ain't no movie? Shoot. Why am I talking about movies?
Alright, so some exciting stuff happening in that time period from 1998 up till the present. And then later, we'll have a movie-themed version of Stump the Old Man.
And last week, I went 0 for 3.
Yeah, you did. And Thor is super excited about all that, aren't you, boy? Aren't you?
He's excited about one thing.
We don't even have to tell him to get into the chair anymore because he knows what getting into the chair means. It means...
He hopped right in that chair.
Yeah, it means treats. All right, speaking of treats, get your popcorn and your snacks ready, kids. This is Back Issues. Alright, comic lovers, so before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on your notifications, give us a thumbs up, and if you like, leave us a comment. We like to hear from you guys every now and then. Alright, so, the movie age, 1999 to the present. Now, before this age, there had been plenty of comic book movies that had come out before this time, but around 99, turn of the century, is when it really started to take off.
Yep. I mean, let's face it. What's the first Marvel movie?
Howard the Duck.
That came out in 86.
Mm-hmm.
89 had the Dolph Lundgren, The Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
The first Batman
First
movie.
Batman movie. Big hit for its time.
Right, with Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
You had Warren Beatty and Dick Tracy, which was a big casting decision in 1990. 92, you had Batman Returns. 94, you had one of the Baldwin boys playing The Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
You know the tagline to The Shadow?
No, I guess I don't.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow. At any rate, 95 had Sylvester Stallone and Judge Dredd, which I didn't like.
I know it was campy, but I mean, it was the 90s. That was sort of the thing back then. So I thought it was entertaining, but that's me.
You had Tank Girl, which is Batman Forever, which was kind of the beginning of the decline for that Batman run.
I mean, I'll always remember when they were in negotiations with Michael Keaton to come on for the third movie after Joel Schumacher took over from Tim Burton. And they were in the meeting, and Joel Schumacher says, "Why does everything have to be so dark?"
Because it's Batman.
It's Batman! And I don't know if he physically did, but mentally, Michael Keaton walked out at that point.
So at any rate, you get to 96, you have Billy Zane in The Phantom, which everybody panned it, but I'm sorry, you had a hero whose tagline was "The Ghost Who Walks." And if you got that tagline, you got to be cool. And that was a good, to me, a good movie. Barbed Wire with, what was her name?
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson, which I'm sure was not good. I don't remember if I ever saw that. 97 had the first Men in Black. You had Spawn. You had your favorite, Batman and Robin. And
that's sarcasm. That's not my favorite.
And Steel.
I mean, I have to think, I mean, in 97, when those last three movies you mentioned came out, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if movie studios lost faith in comic book movies, and that was, that killed it right there.
Well, it really didn't pick up till 2000, but in 98 it kind of did, because you had the first Blade movie, finally a fairly successful, decent movie from Marvel. They're throwing their stuff in there, and it was pretty good.
It ties back to the comic craft we were talking about last episode. And big part of what saved Marvel was selling their characters off for movie rights. And it started off with Blade.
In fact, the first appearance of Blade in the comics was Tomb of Dracula number 10. A lot of people don't know that, but yep. That's a key issue you might be looking for. Aren't they going to bring Blade back in the future?
I mean, they're talking about it for the MCU, but
Didn't they cast the guy from the Green Book?
yes. Now that you say that, yes,
Right,
they absolutely did.
So, potential to see Blade again. All right, so let's start with 1999. Wasn't great. You had Mystery Men, which was very campy, and you had a science fiction movie / horror movie called Virus. Did you know that was the first DVD I ever owned?
No, I did not.
The first one was Virus.
I felt like, Blade was very early on, but...
well, that was probably on VHS at first, because that was when I did my turnover.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so in 2000, you had the first X-Men movie, and what I thought was a really great movie was Unbreakable. That was one of my favorite Bruce Willis movies. All right, 2002, things start to heat up with Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, Men in Black 2, Blade 2, and one that I didn't know was based on a comic book when I saw the movie was Tom Hanks in Road to Perdition.
Mm-hmm. You had also had a young Tyler Hoechlin in that film who would grow up to be Superman.
Well, he played the kid, didn't he?
Yep.
That's pretty cool. All right, 2003, you had the second X-Men movie. You had The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I enjoyed. I might have been the only one out there that did, but
I know Sean Connery didn't enjoy it, so...
Yes. American Splendor, which is more about comic books than there's no superheroes. Daredevil, which I'll defend to my death, it was not a bad movie. It was pretty good. Hulk, I thought was a bad movie. I mean, I don't know why we had to make the absorbing man a godlike creature. He shouldn't have been that powerful.
So even without the benefit of hindsight, we said it was a bad movie. From the get-go.
When I came out of the theater, I said, what was all that crap about Banner's dad? That was never in the comics. Who cares?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie. I mean, I thought the CGI, the Hulk himself, that was impressive back in the day. But the movie itself, I was disappointed in. All right, you also had The Bulletproof Monk, which, when I saw the movie, I did not know it was a comic book movie, but it was. Let's jump to 2004.
2004.
Spider-Man 2. The first Hellboy movie, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Blade Trinity, watching Triple X run is just hilarious. He chases the car, and his little short leg, it's just fun. You gotta watch it.
Okay.
All right, the Punisher with, which one was this? The actor Thomas Jane?
Oh, yes, Thomas Jane.
Thomas Jane's The Punisher, which is probably the best Punisher movie. The TV show's better, but best Punisher movie. You had the first Alien vs. Predator movie and Halle Berry, which I say that because that's more important than the actual movie, in Catwoman. Yes, it was a DC movie.
I can hardly call it a DC movie because it, other than the name, it took nothing from the comic books.
Well, the very end, when all those pictures were strewn out, and you had every person who ever played Catwoman, even the three who played Catwoman in the horrible Batman TV show, you know it's a DC movie. At any rate, and Halle Berry was in it, so it wasn't all bad. 2005, Batman Begins. That's the beginning of the Christian Bale trilogy.
Yep.
And that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
V for Vendetta. I can watch that over and over again. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Constantine. It was a good movie, but I like the guy who's playing Constantine in the Arrowverse better than Keanu Reeves. Sue me. The first Sin City, which was groundbreaking at the time, just that the way they did that movie was incredible. A History of Violence, another movie that when I saw it, I didn't know it was a comic book based movie.
And that's the one with Viggo Mortensen in it?
It is.
So I think he got an Oscar nomination for that, didn't he?
I don't know, but I think he deserved it. It was great. All right, then we kind of go down a little bit with the Fantastic Four movie and Elektra.
I mean, say what you want, but I thought that was the best, most accurate portrayal of the Fantastic Four, and still today.
To date.
Yeah.
Please do better.
I mean, was it perfect? No. But, I mean, you see what other incarnations you have to work with, the 94 straight to, not even to video version, and the, I think, 2015 version. This one's the best by far.
No doubt.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
2006, you had Superman Returns. 300, Frank Miller book. Incredible movie. Love that movie. X-Men The Last Stand and Zoom Academy for Superheroes.
I mean, I knew it was a superhero movie, but I didn't know that was based on a comic book.
2007, you had 30 Days a Night come out. We'll talk about that later.
All right.
Transformers, one of your favorites. Stardust. Once again, I didn't know that was a comic book.
I mean, that was a sleeper hit because people didn't know what was up, and I think we recommended that to a lot of people after we saw it.
Yeah, because nobody was seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You also had Spider-Man 3, which is proof that you should not have 15 villains in the same movie.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, maybe. Learn from your mistakes.
Which is one of the reasons I'm a little worried about the Batman coming out later this year.
Too many villains?
Yeah.
I don't care how strong your rogues gallery is. You don't need to show them all in one shoot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where am I at?
I think you're
Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. The worst portrayal of Galactus I could imagine.
Yep.
They totally wasted one of the big guns in the Marvel Universe.
Did a great Silver Surfer and a terrible Galactus.
I always predicted there was two things they could not put on the big screen. Thor, I ate those words, and the Silver Surfer. That was about as good as you could do. That was a pretty good portrayal of a guy who flies through space on a surfboard. But the rest of the movie stunk. Oh, speaking of stinking, Ghost Rider. How do you do a movie about a demon who's a spirit of vengeance and not rated R? How can you make a movie that's only PG-13? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so then you have Aliens vs. Predator Requiem. Yeah, it's all right. 2008, The Dark Knight, a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, bam, this little guy comes out.
Well, I would say, I mean, there was a lot of debate over, movie or superhero movie of the year then. I mean, Dark Knight versus Iron Man. It's like,
No, they're
how
both
do you...
solid. They're both solid, but the point is, that was the beginning of the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all started.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you had The Incredible Hulk, which that movie was fine. It was all right.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted, another movie I didn't know was based on a comic book.
I mean, sorry, go back to Incredible Hulk. That's sort of the, kind of like the stepchild of the MCU, because a lot of people say you could skip that if you're watching the MCU straight and not miss a beat.
You could.
Yeah, because, I mean, Edward Norton, his only appearance as Bruce Banner, and when he picks up again in the Avengers, it's like, there's no references or anything to that movie, so like you could just skip it altogether. So
You could.
yeah.
All right, so we had Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, a terrible Punisher movie called Punisher Warzone.
Well, they just ramp up the ultra violence in that film, and don't give you much substance.
He punches his fist through a guy's body.
Yep.
Come on. And then another horrible movie.
Oh man, I mean the Punisher Warzone is Academy Award nominee as far as I'm concerned compared to The Spirit.
Hey, you had Samuel L. Jackson. How bad could it could be? Pretty bad.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
All right, let's jump to 2009. We had the incredible Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that movie, even with the blue parts. I didn't need to see, but that was okay. He had X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was 2010, we ramp it up a little bit with Iron Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kick-Ass. Didn't do something going...
Oh, yeah, because they actually made a joke about it in an episode of WandaVision where you had both Quicksilvers, the one from the MCU... I mean, I guess they're both MCU Quicksilvers now, but the original MCU Quicksilver from Age of Ultron and the one from the X-Men films are both in Kick-Ass.
Best friends, too, aren't they?
Yep. In fact, his friend was recast in the second film, which sucks because in the second film he adopts his own superhero alias and becomes Ass Kicker. So if the actor had stuck around, you would have seen Kick-Ass versus Ass Kicker, Quicksilver versus Quicksilver. So,
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, you had Red, which was a good movie. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I enjoyed. It was a lot of fun.
I remember being excited. I don't know why I was so excited about this film, but just seeing the trailers and the build-up for it, like I was watching every trailer or scene that I could get my hands on leading up to watching it.
So was it satisfying when you went to see it? Or disappointed?
Maybe I had built it up a little too much in my head, but still, it was a fun movie.
All right, moving on. The Losers, which is funny that you say that before Jonah Hex, because that was a loser.
Yeah.
Such a good character.
That trying to recreate Wild Wild West is like, why?
Yeah, they should have just gone with the Two Gun Mojo story arc. That would have been good stuff. Anyway, oh, poor old Brandon. Dylan Dog, Dead of Night. Guy can't catch a break. Gets to be in the Superman Club and can't do anything. Anyway.
So it's Superman, Dylan Dog, the Atom. So
he gets a lot of breaks. They just let him.
I mean, that's the thing about being a iconic superhero. Even if it flops, even if it's not successful, I mean, you can secure employment in some capacity for the rest of your life, probably.
Should be able to.
Yeah, because
boy, that's a very unique club.
Yeah, because I mean, even if you're doing B movies, I mean, people will want to put you in their films.
I had Superman in my movie.
Yeah.
All right, 2011, X-Men First Class. Captain America, the First Avenger. Oh, man, I was just loving that. Thor. Ghost Rider, Spirit of Vengeance. That franchise.
I mean, I know a lot of people disagree. The first movie was not completely horrible. I thought it had a few decent moments. I like the way he took down the main bad guy in that film. Like, he gets what he wants, but now he just made himself vulnerable to Ghost Rider. I thought that was a fun bit of irony in that film. But Spirit of Vengeance, horribly done, totally unnecessary.
Yeah, pass on that one.
Yeah.
Green Lantern, which could have been so good, but was so bad. All right, now, I didn't dislike Cowboys and Aliens. I thought it was a hoot. I thought it was fun.
I mean, I like the movie, but one of the most entertaining things that came out of Cowboys and Aliens was the publicity tour Harrison Ford did for the film, and a skit he did on Jimmy Kimmel, where he's backstage getting ready for the show, and Chewbacca comes into his dressing room, and they start arguing with each other, and Chewie's like,
I'm done with that Star Wars crap, and I'm done with you. Haven't you heard? I'm in Cowboys and Aliens. Daniel Craig's my Wookiee bitch now. Get the hell out of here. Out! Get out!
I mean, the series of skits that he did for Jimmy Kimmel and Chewbacca was some of the funniest damn things I ever saw.
Yep, you tell me about it every time you saw one of them. All right, then you had I would think it was a parody, but some people think it was an attempt at a straight movie. The Green Hornet.
I mean, casting Seth Rogen, I don't know what you were hoping to get out of that, but it was what it was.
Yep. Then you had one that I really liked called Priest. That had your boy Carl Urban and Vision. What's his name?
Oh, Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany was in it. So if you're enjoying Paul Bettany and the Vision, check out Priest.
Yeah.
It's a good watch. 2012. Bam! Avengers.
Now, the importance of this, I mean, you look back on it now, and you've had 4 Avengers movie, you had Captain America: Civil War. Like, maybe you don't think much about it now, but the importance of Avengers in 2012 should not be underestimated, because I mean, it was a culmination of, Iron Man came out in 2008, so you have to think they were in the planning stages in 07 or 06 at least. So 5 or 6 years of work going into this, because they had a plan. I mean, they weren't flying by the seat of their pants.
There was a definite
plan.
Like
X-Men and a lot of other franchises did. They had a plan laid out for, the phases of Marvel, which you hear all about now. And this was the culmination of phase 1 in Marvel. And you had at least 4 characters who could stand up on their own, as they had proven: Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Hulk. and they put them together in this film with Black Widow and Hawkeye as well, and no one had ever seen anything like it. These iconic standalone characters coming together in one film. I mean, it was pretty incredible for its time.
Marvel always was the best at team-ups,
Mm-hmm.
and they just carried the philosophy over to their movies, and the fact that they're sticking with a continuity
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. Something DC hasn't figured out yet.
Like I said, X-Men, they seem to fly by the seat of their pants, and they put out a couple movies and they start to contradict each other. It's like, wait a minute, I thought Wolverine's origin with Weapon X happened here in this movie, and then we put out this movie. It's like, okay, and then something totally different happened. It's like, well, which one is it?
Well, in my opinion, you're going to see all that get straightened out very soon.
Hope so.
Yeah, very soon. Not soon enough for this old man, but very soon. All right, where was I?
All right, so we were in...
in 2012, I said the Avengers, so you got The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm.
You had Dredd, the Carl Urban
Right.
playing Judge Dredd.
Which, they're two totally different films. The Sylvester
Judge
Stallone
Dredd,
one and the Carl Urban version, but I was entertained by both of them, just in different ways.
Well, I like the action and the fact that Urban didn't take the helmet off once in the movie.
Mm-mm.
Just like in the comic book. In the comic book, you never, ever see him without his helmet on, which is fine. All right, Men in Black 3 and Amazing Spider-Man came out the same year. In 2013, you had one of my favorite sleepers, because we didn't know anything about it till I think we rented it from Redbox.
Okay, yeah.
Just on a whim.
Mm-hmm.
Snowpiercer came out with Chris Evans. Being a Captain America fan, I probably rented the movie because he was in it.
And it wasn't just Chris Evans; they had an incredible cast in that film.
Great movie, great concept.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the TV show, we're enjoying the heck out of the TV show now. So, if you haven't seen Snowpiercer, I would start with the movie. All right, then you had Iron Man 3, which a lot of people kind of complained about, but I thought that was a very important part of developing Tony's character. I thought that was good. I thought it was a good movie.
Well, biggest problem was, one of the biggest problems, they dropped the ball with the villain, but we could have a whole episode discussing that.
Yeah, well, I think they kind of fixed it. But at any rate, Man of Steel.
Well, you've heard our complaints about this one, and mainly Jonathan Kent in the film, so don't think we need to rehash all that.
We'll move on.
Yeah.
All right, The Wolverine,
Mm-hmm.
Oblivion, Kick-Ass 2, Thor: The Dark World.
Probably another one of the weak links in the MCU, but still.
It's still Thor.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P.D.
It's Men in Black with ghosts instead of aliens.
And instead of spies, it was more like cowboys or cops. Red 2. All right.
That was a big year for oh gosh, I've forgotten her name now. The woman who was in Weeds and played Bruce Willis's girlfriend in Red. But
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember her name.
Yeah, that was I think I remember now. R.I.P.D. and Red 2 came out the same weekend, and we saw her in both movies that weekend. That was kind of big for her.
You know the magic of being the editor?
Hmm?
You can come back and pop her name up.
Yeah, no, here's her name right there.
All right. I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's always cool. All right, 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I didn't like the original Guardians of the Galaxy comic book. I thought it sucked. I hated the characters. I hated the storylines. I thought of all the Marvel stories that have been published, why are you going to spend $1 bazillion making a movie out of this crap?
I remember when they made the announcement. You were
preaching.
Yeah,
I'm sure I was preaching. So I go and see the movie because it's a Marvel movie, and I'm going to see every Marvel movie till the day I die.
Mm-hmm.
But Guardians of the Galaxy, I come out of there going, oh my God. Bite my tongue, eat my words, loved it. Great movie. All right, so then Captain America the Winter Soldier, yes, my man. So good stuff there. X-Men Days of Future Past, one of my I probably liked it more than most of the X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite Tom Cruise movie, yes, I liked it better than Top Gun, was Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, really? I mean, I knew you liked it. I didn't know it was your favorite Tom Cruise.
Time travel, great movie. Loved it. Sin City, Dame to Kill For.
Another sequel that was totally unnecessary.
All right, but you did have Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I thought was pretty good. A sleeper that a lot of people didn't see was I, Frankenstein. I thought it was pretty good. 2015, we get Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm.
Great movie.
Introduction of a lot of characters: Wanda, Quicksilver, and Vision.
Mm-hmm. Kingsman: The Secret Service. That was the second one.
No, that was the first one.
All right, so that was a great one. Oh, Fantastic Four: The reboot.
Oh my gosh, it's bad. I mean, they made it dark for whatever reason. They made the FF hate each other. They had one really. I mean, they had a couple minor action scenes, but they had one decent action scene at the end of the film. And it's like it's a comic movie. It's freaking Fantastic Four. It's like what? Why did we have to wait for a payoff that wasn't even really that good by the end?
Yeah, they probably did that just to keep the rights to it.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did.
All right, 2016, we had Deadpool. What? Why'd you put that out there? Good. Jeez.
I liked it.
I got to start paying more attention when he puts on the table. Captain America: Civil War. That's one of those ones where your trailer speech about you shouldn't give stuff away.
I need to be in charge of movie trailers because, I mean, I will not give stuff away in the trailers if I can help it because, I mean, I can't control press releases. I can't control what other people on the inside put out on their Twitter or Instagram, but I promise you this. You may have heard rumors and maybe seen leaks or whatever, but you would not have actually seen Spider-Man in the MCU until you were sitting in the theater watching the movie.
And if that had been the case, if it had been me sitting in the theater watching the movie, it would have been one of two times in a Marvel movie that I would have cheered, stood up yelling, and then passed out.
Because, I mean, like for example, WandaVision. I didn't know, and spoiler alert. Skip ahead. Skip ahead a little
right
bit.
Now,
yeah.
if you haven't seen all the because this is a big spoiler. In fact, why don't we just not even say it?
Okay, I won't say it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The big moment a few episodes ago. I didn't know that was coming because I don't watch the promos. I don't watch press releases. Fan theories, rumors, whatever. I didn't pay attention to it. So, when that happened, I was genuinely surprised. I was shocked at what had just happened. So, if I were in charge of movie trailers, that is what you would get.
I mean, if you show me you're going to make a Captain America Civil War movie, you already got my money.
Yep.
I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to go.
You don't need to show me the biggest, coolest scene in the movie to get me to go. I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Any rate, let's get back to 2016. Right. Doctor Strange's first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not really, because he had a made-for-TV movie years ago that was actually way ahead of his time when it came to the special effects. When he goes into another dimension, it was kind of creepy.
Mm.
But at any rate, you had the Doctor Strange movie, you had X-Men Apocalypse, which was, it was all right. Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Now, this was a movie where, I mean, I didn't hate it. I mean, it had moments. I mean, the debut of Wonder Woman, another thing I would not have given away in the trailers.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, debut of Wonder Woman. But problem was that, this was in this is 2016. So, Marvel was already, they had already put out...
Oh, deep in it.
Yeah, 2 Avengers movies, Captain America Civil War, which is pretty much another Avengers movie, in my opinion. So they had already put out 3 of these big team-up films. So DC thought they were going to play catch-up. And they had only put out 1 movie, Man of Steel. And so they're going to throw in Batman and Wonder Woman into the next film. They hardly give them any background. They give, Bruce Wayne like a quick, prequel scene in the beginning, and you don't know hardly anything about Wonder Woman going into the film. And then they tease 3 other Justice League members in like these short clips that they've collected. And it was a bit of a mess. They just threw it together trying to play catch up, and you could have given Batman a solo film. You could have done the Wonder Woman origin story before this, which they decided not to. I mean, it was bad business in my opinion.
All right, and lastly for that year, you had Suicide Squad, which
another DCEU film, which they felt like they kind of threw together.
I kind of liked it, but that's just me. All right, moving on. 2017. This is a big year. You had Thor Ragnarok, which I loved.
Mm-hmm.
You had Logan, which I loved. He ain't dead. Spider-Man: Homecoming, good stuff. Wonder Woman, good stuff. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, didn't like as much as 1 because I don't like what was his name? Ego, the planet.
Yeah.
I don't like that character, villain, whatever he is. I don't like it.
I still get a kick out of that opening scene with Baby Groot and Mr. Blue Sky sequence.
Oh yeah, I mean the opening dance music scenes in those movies are great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you had Ant-Man, loved it. Justice League, a lot of people didn't like that movie, but it introduced me to Aquaman.
Yep.
And I hate Aquaman until Jason Momoa became Aquaman, and now all of a sudden, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I mean, they've been building up the Snyder cut to this film for so long. It's like, just show it to me already. Stop talking about it. Give me the movie.
And yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
All right, so then you had Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Now, that was the second one. I love that movie just for Elton John.
Yep.
I mean, Elton John was just hilarious in this movie.
Yep.
I mean, for a guy who's been knighted and has the musical career that he has to play that part in that movie, thank you, Sir Elton John. Thank you.
And he's like, I love the part where it sounds like he's about to be rescued from the hostage situation. And he's like, Wednesday. And he's like, isn't that supposed to be Saturday? It's like, today's Wednesday, right? He's like, yeah. Wednesday.
All right, moving on. A movie that was universally panned by you, for one, was Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Like, one of the most ambitious films of that year.
But I liked it.
I thought it fell pretty flat. Because, I mean, the problem was the 2 leads. I mean, maybe this was the wrong role for them. I didn't think they did well in the roles, and I thought they had 0 chemistry.
Yeah, the chemistry was all the stuff blowing up. So, hey, I'm easy to please. All right, and last for 2017, Atomic Blonde, another movie that a lot of people don't know is based on a comic book.
The fight scene in
incredible.
that scene, it was it one continuous shot they did in that scene?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I know that she beat herself up pretty good just doing some of the stunts she actually did herself.
I mean, it definitely grabs your attention in that scene, if nothing else.
All right, let's move on to 2018 and the biggest movie of all time.
Well, I mean, not quite.
Not quite, but at the time it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it got beat, but Avengers Infinity War was huge that year, just huge. Then you had the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which you liked more than me. I don't like all the alternate universes things. I didn't like it before DC cleared up Crisis. I just don't care for this. And they had Spider-Ham in the damn movie. Any rate, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp, which was good. You had that jackass in his second movie, Deadpool 2.
I mean, I got a kick out of Deadpool 2. The X-Force scene, the plane scene.
Well, if you didn't get a kick out of something in a Deadpool movie, they wasted their time because that's the whole point.
I mean, it was totally anticlimactic, and you didn't care because it was so damn funny.
Well, how'd you feel about the Colossus Juggernaut fight?
I had been wanting this. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little background here because I've been a fan of Colossus and Juggernaut duking it out since I was a kid. If you were a kid like me in late 80s, early 90s, if you ever watched Pryde of the X-Men, it is a largely unknown cartoon pilot for the X-Men.
You need to see it.
Yeah, because, I mean, I think, like, this episode against any of the Fox Kids episodes of X-Men, I think this one is better, bar none.
It is.
Yeah. And one of the scenes in it where the X-Men are infiltrating Asteroid M, it was a gauntlet, you know, because like each room, another one of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is blocking their path. So with every fight, that they lose one of the X-Men trying to reach Magneto.
Right, because one of the X-Men stays behind to deal with the villain in that room.
Right. So they go through a few rooms, and there's like 3 X-Men left, and Colossus is one of them. And they come into the room, and Juggernaut is standing in the room, and he's like, "So, you've managed to get past our little welcoming committee, but you go no further." And he grabs a big ventilation shaft off the wall and starts to throw it at the X-Men. Colossus, which, you know, I don't know why he wasn't armored up already, but he armors up, and he grabs the ventilation shaft, and, you know, the two of them are like stalking towards each other and are like, "And who is going to stop us?" And the two of them, they throw the ventilation shaft and they start punching each other. The whole thing couldn't have lasted more than 10 seconds on screen. But, I mean, it just, you know, just captured my imagination. And from then on, I had action figures and everything of, you know, Colossus and Juggernaut duking it out. So, when X-Men came out in 2000... What?
I'm just waiting for you to get to the point
Okay.
here.
When X-Men came out in 2000, I want to see this. Like, we haven't even seen Colossus and Juggernaut yet, but, you know, I want to see this happen. X-Men 3 comes out. Juggernaut and Colossus are both in the film. They are in the same scene, the scene on Muir Island where they're fighting. They never interact with one another. They never see each other. It's like, what a missed opportunity. Like, have you guys never seen a cartoon before in your life? Have you never read a comic book? Like, these two characters are supposed to fight each other.
Well, they do in Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2 comes around. Finally, we get Juggernaut versus Colossus. And you know what? I did love it. But it was just a tad bit on the short side.
It needed to be a slobber knocker.
I mean, it was a side fight because, you know, the main story was Deadpool and Cable were trying to reach the kid, and, you know, they were just going back to Colossus versus Juggernaut to, you know, mix things up a little bit.
All right, folks, I apologize. I knew that was going to happen, but anyway.
Yeah, so Colossus versus Juggernaut, one of the great grudge matches of comic books.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's all right. So, moving on in 2018, you had Black Panther, which... that was amazing.
Groundbreaking film.
Nominated for Academy Award or something. Venom, which I enjoyed. I thought was pretty good. And then Aquaman. My man Jason Momoa, back again. The only person in the world who's ever told my son to shut the F up. That's another story. Don't go into it.
Well, I don't know if he's the only person, but he was definitely the most memorable one.
All right, so moving on, we've got 2019. And then... the real big boy, Avengers Endgame, shatters records.
Yep.
Makes me cry. Spider-Man Far From Home, Alita Battle Angel, Joker, Joaquin Phoenix wins an Academy Award for that sucker. Shazam, which was a lot of fun. Captain Marvel, which I felt like was too long in the making, but it was a solid movie. I enjoyed it. Hellboy the remake. I like the guy who played Hellboy from the sheriff from Stranger Things.
Yep.
But the movie just was not as enticing to me as the first Hellboy was. All right, then you had The Kitchen, a drama, which also was based on a comic book.
Did not know that.
At the time. Polar, and then Dark Phoenix. So finally, when there was the pandemic hit and things were kind of slowed down, but in 2020, we did get Wonder Woman 1984, Bloodshot. Bloodshot was not great, but I think it was a good attempt for a new company to get their feet wet. Like to see a Turok Son of Stone movie, please. Birds of Prey came out, which I enjoyed. Finally.
Yeah, I mean, New Mutants comes out. I mean, I didn't think I was ever going to see that movie.
He kept saying that I'll believe it when I'm watching it.
I mean, they make all kinds of. I mean, if you see like New Mutants Honest trailer or the pitch meeting on Screen Rant for New Mutants, they make all kinds of jokes about it. I mean, you see all the different release dates it got from like 2016 to when it finally came out. I mean, it was ridiculous.
But for what it's worth, it was all right. I don't know if it was worth the wait.
Yeah, I
mean, right.
I feel like you were building up to it, and it was the final X-Men / mutant related film of 20th Century Fox before the buyout, and it kind of went out with a whimper, I thought.
Yeah, I'm afraid it won't be canon. But final movie for 2020 was The Old Guard. That was a Netflix movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good.
Yep, I enjoyed it.
All right. But bottom line is, from what you've just seen, you got to realize, and if you don't, I got news for you. If you're looking for a story or a character to put on screen, what's been done so far hasn't even scratched the surface. There's so much more out there. So much more. If you want to know what you can make a movie of, you guys with all the money, contact me. Got lots of suggestions for you. Tons of them. And everyone's a winner. Well, if you make the movie right, it's a winner. All right. So at any rate, all these years, the increased interest in comic book movies spilled over into the actual comic book industry. And the industry started getting healthier over the last 2 decades. So let's look at a few things that have happened. In mid-1999, 100 Bullets starts this run for DC's Vertical titles. That was an interesting run. Definitely not your typical, it's not a spandex book. In mid-2000, Marvel, still struggling after its bankruptcy, puts out Ultimate Spider-Man #1. Now, there went on to be many Ultimate books, like the version of the Avengers, which was called The Ultimates. And I think that most of these movies that have come out for the MCU, they're based more on the Ultimate storyline than they are on the old school storyline because it's more adult, more up to date.
The version of Nick Fury most certainly is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right, so late 2001, Marvel launches its Max line of comics, which was just more adult. And the first one was Alias #1, and that was the first appearance of Jessica Jones from the Netflix shows. May 4th, 2002 was the first Free Comic Book Day. Now, I don't know what a lot of y'all think about Free Comic Book Day. Any attempt that the publishers make to get people to come in and read. Kids nowadays, such a high percentage of kids don't read anything except what they absolutely have to. It makes me sad because I'm always reading. I'm reading comic books, I'm reading books, I'm constantly reading. And it makes me sad that kids nowadays, they're not reading and they're not even getting out and playing instead. They're sitting at home playing video games.
Well, I mean, there's, whenever I drive past, I see this, group of kids on the corner over here.
Outside.
And, yeah, they're playing outside, and it's like, oh, okay, thank God. I mean, our next generation is not completely a lost cause because there's still some kids out there playing outside.
Hey, in the summertime, I had an alarm clock, the street lights.
Mm-hmm.
The street lights came on, it was time for me to get home.
Yep.
But not anymore. All right. Mid-2002, from Vertigo, Why the Last Man came out. Now, I haven't read that yet, but I hear it's great.
Okay.
Have you read that yet?
I have not.
Okay. All right. Mid-2002, a screenplay that nobody was interested in picking up. That one right there. 30 Days of Night. Once the comic book hit the stands, the movie studios were fighting over it. The reason they passed on it to begin with, they said it sounded too much like Buffy.
I mean,
I haven't read the actual screenplay, but unless it's a lot different than the comic book, it's got nothing to do with Buffy other than
vampires.
That's it. And not even close to the same kind of vampires.
No.
I mean, the ones in this book,
Yeah.
are in this movie. All right, so 2003, one of my favorite creative teams, Kurt Busiek and George Perez, put together a DC Marvel crossover called JLA Avengers.
And I was a little surprised this came out when it did because I thought the days of intercompany crossover events were done because Marvel or DC had been owned by Warner Brothers for a while, and they had ramped up their movie ambitions, and Marvel hadn't been bought out by Disney yet, but it was still had a lot of big corporations involved. So I thought they were done with those kinds of things, but nope, they surprised me. JLA Avengers. So nowadays you probably wouldn't get that because you'd have to have cooperation between Disney and Warner Brothers. But
the
hey,
bigger the company gets, the harder it is to get them to cooperate with each other.
but money talks, right?
Absolutely.
So maybe someday.
All right, mid-2003, Kentucky native Robert Kirkman gets Image Comics to publish The Walking Dead.
I love and hate you, Kirkman.
He had an idea very similar to that. But at any rate, Kirkman only had a 6-issue story arc ready to go because he wasn't sure there was going to be another story arc. He wasn't sure that they would keep printing his comic book. Of course, it became the background for The Walking Dead on TV, one of the most successful TV shows of its time. So then in mid-2004, DC steps into the dark side. There was comments in that JLA Avengers crossover that I just mentioned about how the Marvel universe is darker and more depressing than the DC universe. So DC puts out the miniseries Identity Crisis, and it was dark as hell.
I remember, yeah,
rape, murder.
It wasn't on the same scale as most crises, but I remember enjoying it more than most of those, more than the big galactic type crises, and then you have this one that is more home based, but it was pretty incredible.
Well, so you were growing up by then. So in Green Lantern Rebirth #1 in late 2004, my man Hal Jordan is back. Hal Jordan will always be this old man's Green Lantern. All right. Then, after being disbanded for about 6 months, the Avengers return in New Avengers #1. There's a massive breakout from the prison called the Raft, and they put the team back together to deal with that.
All right.
And it starts a new lineup for the team, and that was late 2004. Early 2005, Iron Man #1 comes out, and it was the Extremist storyline, and it was used for the Iron Man movie. Why did I keep pointing to that for Endgame? At any rate. Also in 2005, Ed Brubaker writes Captain America. And that series starts, and in #4, Bucky Barnes is brought back as a Winter Soldier. And of course,
that's one of the longest comic book deaths to date, right?
Juniper Jones, one of the members of Sergeant Fury, is still dead.
Okay. Comic book character, they rarely stay dead. There are a few exceptions, like, the original Captain Marvel, Juniper Jones, guys like that, but a lot of them, they're dead for a long time, and then, they come back, like Bucky Barnes and Jason Todd and a few others.
With the multiverse, you got Gwen Stacy back. She's really not back, but with the multiverse, you can bring anybody back. Probably have Juniper Jones back soon. All right. early 2006, Civil War #1 kicks off, and that is an event that's going to change Marvel Comics for years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the basis for Captain America: Civil War, but just a really intense storyline.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved the movie, but the story was a much more watered down, simpler version of what was going on in the comic books.
The movie was watered down.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean it went across everything, and you had people die.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a good story. Also in early 2006, Marvel gambles on Wolverine Origins #1. It was a gamble because they had never given us the actual, this is the origin of Wolverine. I mean, you knew how he got his adamantium, but his total origin story wasn't told until this comic. Early 2012, Image puts out Saga #1, which I have read, and I really like that. Let's jump to early 2013. The Amazing Spider-Man #700. Dr. Octopus does a Freaky Friday with Spider-Man. And the story continued the next month in Superior Spider-Man #1, and I thought that was a great story.
And it was a great story, and the story was so popular it actually gets mentioned in an episode of Big Bang Theory. So it kind of crossed over into popular culture.
All right. Early 2014, Mark Waid begins to do a 36-issue run on Daredevil, which fine writer, good stuff. In mid-2019, The Walking Dead #193 comes out. It's final issue, which was a total surprise because they had solicited for the next couple issues in the Diamond Preview. Nobody knew that was going to be the last issue till they read the comic. That was a neat little stunt. Thought that was pretty cool. And there's a lot of other interesting stuff in the works, and especially in the movies. And I'm not going to give release dates on upcoming movies because in today's environment, the chance of a movie coming out on its first 2-3 release dates probably ain't going to happen. But anyway, here's some stuff coming soon. We hope.
Hope.
All right. Later this month, I know I said I wouldn't give dates, but this one's so close, surely they'll get it out. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Can't wait to see that cut. Then you've got Black Widow, which is supposed to come out, I don't know, last decade maybe. I don't know. Venom, Let There Be Carnage. Looking forward to seeing Woody Harrelson play Carnage. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think they're going to do him, I'm not sure if this movie or one coming up, he's going to be a British secret agent like he was in the comics. The Suicide Squad. So, not Suicide Squad 2. The first one was Suicide Squad. This one is The Suicide Squad.
Right.
Is that right?
Just like Fast and Furious, the first movie was called The Fast and the Furious. And then the fourth movie, I think, they reunite the original cast and they just call it Fast and Furious. So this one is in reverse. They're going to add the.
All right. Instead of The King's Men, there's one coming out called The King's Man,
right,
which I think is a prequel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Eternals, which another Marvel movie. I don't know why you would choose to do those characters, but that's what I said about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they'll probably end up making me like it, but
and I know they're bringing out the Black Knight. It's going to be our first time we see him.
Mm-hmm.
The Jon Snow guy from Game of Thrones is going to play the Black Knight.
Okay.
So even though I'm a little bit concerned about the characters that are going to be in the movie, it's got to be pretty good. All right. Then you've got Spider-Man, No Way Home.
They just put out the subtitle for that one.
Morbius, the living vampire, which has always been one of the more interesting anti-heroes in the Marvel Universe. We're going to see the sparkly vampire kid. What's his name?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, the Lighthouse. In The Batman.
I mean, kind of says they put out that trailer almost because it's like, okay, so now we have to wait another year before it comes out.
And that's one show me the trailer a week beforehand, or just send out a news flash that the movie's going to happen, and I'll be there.
Right.
All right, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Mm-hmm. Now, in this film, we're supposed to see Doctor Strange and Wanda team up, but I'm hoping there's a tie-in. The finale for WandaVision is later this week. It's like, so far, Doctor Strange and Wanda have not interacted with one another. They were both there at the Battle for the Universe at the end of Endgame, but they never met it, never saw each other, never interacted. So, like, when does that happen?
No telling. All right, you've got Thor, Love and Thunder. I think Jane Foster becomes Thor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's straight from the comic books, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Been done a couple of times. Black Panther 2, which is bittersweet.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing it, and more to see what they're going to do absent, Chadwick.
Mm-hmm.
Into the Spider-Verse sequel, which, take away Spider-Ham, I might enjoy it. All right, then The Flash finally gets a movie with the same guy from the Justice League film playing the Flash. Thank
Right.
goodness they're keeping the actors. Although I don't know what's wrong with the Arrowverse Flash. But Captain Marvel 2, which I know absolutely nothing about.
Nope.
I'm okay with that. I'll go see it. Aquaman 2. My man, Jason Momoa. Bring it, dude. All right, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'll just go see it and not worry about it. Shazam, Fury of the Gods. I like the first one. Don't screw it up with the second one. At any rate, that's it for the Marvel Age. And I want to say, preparing for these 9 videos covering 8 ages of the comic book history, doing the research for it, has been a lot of fun for me. But it actually amazes me that even though I've been a reader, a collector, a dealer, and a speculator in comic books for 5 decades, it's still a ridiculous amount of stuff that I didn't know and still don't know. I want to get a job like the guy we talked about in a previous episode when they were doing the research for DC to do the Crisis on Infinite Earths. They hired a guy to sit down and read every comic book in their library.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do that, and I'm ready. Just contact me. Email address right there. Just let me know. I just want to read all the comic books.
All right, so that does it for the movie age, and it does it for the history of comic books. So let us know what you think. So before we wrap things up totally, I have a movie age related Stump the Old Man segment. So
Lovely.
Yeah, I mean, this should be right up your alley. All right, so let's head back up to the garage and see what Thor's up to. All right, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump the Old Man.
Is it your favorite segment? Because it's not my favorite segment.
Well, it's the longest segment where he gets treats, so I bet you it is his favorite segment.
Maybe I'll cut you off. Yeah. Cut you off.
Don't do that. All right. Question number 1. Best 2 out of 3. Actress Sasha Collier was recently cast as what superheroine for a highly anticipated superhero film?
Well, I don't really know the actress's name, but I know there's only been one recent casting that's made a lot of noise, and that would be Supergirl.
That is correct.
Already hit last week.
Sasha Collier will play the Girl of Steel alongside Ezra Miller in the upcoming Flash movie. Director Andy Muschietti, if I pronounce that right, posted his video call with Sasha telling her the good news.
All right. Do you want to fly?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. So then maybe you will need this. You know what this is?
What?
You're Supergirl. Felicitaciones. Muy bien. ¿Está bien, Sasha? Come back. Felicitaciones. Congratulations, Sasha. You made it.
Fellow Supergirl Melissa Benoist congratulated Collier by posting in a recent Instagram story, "Yes, girl, you can fly. Welcome to the DC universe. Cannot wait to see you as Supergirl. The world needs as many Supergirls as it can get." All right, on to question number 2. We have, well, it's not exactly a Thor question. It's sort of a Thor adjacent question.
You got skipped.
All right. Up until Thor Ragnarok, what actor had provided the voice of the Incredible Hulk in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, I mean, that's the guy who should still be doing it, unless he died or something. I don't think he died.
Nope.
Lou the Hulk Ferrigno.
That is also correct.
He's easy on me because he killed me last week.
Lou Ferrigno had done the voice of the Hulk in The Incredible Hulk, Avengers, and Avengers Age of Ultron. But in Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk was finally voiced by Mark Ruffalo.
I mean, Ruffalo's a good actor to play the Hulk, or Banner, or whatever. I mean, but you got to give props to Lou.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 2 out of 3. So we're already won. Yep.
Already stomped a new you-know-what in last week, so it's
All
all
right,
good.
so this last one is just for fun. Number 3, Avengers Endgame is the highest grossing movie of all time, but it also holds another record as having the most expensive single shot in cinematic history. Name that shot.
Well, ow! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to piss you off. Damn, it hurt. All right, so we're talking about the most expensive shot in Endgame, right?
Yep, in cinematic history.
Well, I'm pretty sure easy. Pretty sure it's Endgame. That would be the shot that had everybody in it. Everybody. Not the battle, because there was a few folks like Samuel Jackson who weren't in the battle. I mean, what's Samuel going to do? Pew, pew, pew. But at any rate, no, he probably would have had a bazooka. Samuel, he was bad. I'm going to go with the funeral.
That is correct. Tony's funeral shot was the most expensive shot in cinematic history.
And it made me tear up, too.
Mm-hmm. Director Joe Russo stated, "There's a lot of salary on screen there, as it was the only shot of the film for many of the actors there. Some of the actors who only filmed that one shot for the film included Marissa Tomei, Michelle Pfeiffer, Kobe Smulders, and Samuel L. Jackson."
We had to be in it because Samuel Jackson's in every movie.
Mm-hmm. Another tidbit that Russo divulged about the scene was that because several of the MCU actors can't be trusted to keep a secret, looking at you, Tom Holland, and Mark Ruffalo, all of the actors were told they'd be filming a wedding scene before they showed up that day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Faked them out.
They were all brought there under the pretense that they were coming for a wedding, and the day they got there, we started to dress them in the black outfits. They said, "This is a very strange wedding." And we said, "It's because it's actually a funeral." So, there's a little trivia there for you about Endgame. All right, so that's 3 for 3. The old man wins, definitely wins this round.
And redeems himself.
Mm-hmm. All right, that about does it for this episode. But before we go, a little bit about what we're going to be doing next week.
Do tell.
Hey, Poochie. Hey, Poochie. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? If you guys notice that my shirt is a little dirty when we film here, I don't go in looking like this. This is how Thor greets me when he shows up. So yeah, so that's why that is.
And you've been lucky.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had to film when it was raining outside.
Yeah.
He's gonna really get you when it's raining.
So that's why. All right. So, well, what are we gonna be doing next week, old man? I mean,
I told you weeks ago was gonna be coming down to the tick tock, tick tock.
we've been doing the history of comic books for so long now. I haven't had to think about it.
Well, you do now. You better come up with something.
Huh. So,
What do you want to do?
I guess we do. What do you think, Thor? No.
I think you better give him a snack.
You want a treat, boy? Had to twist around for that one, didn't
Yeah, he
you?
finally found a way to lay down in this
Yep.
chair.
Ha! So what are we gonna do? We are gonna do. Well, today was the movie age, so why don't we do something about movies?
Okay, I'm down.
You know what? you're always complaining about how they miscast so many roles in superhero movies. So what do you say we do the best and worst superhero castings of all time?
Okay. I mean, to be honest, there's been some good casting
Yep.
too. But yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, all right. So we think we got it. The best and worst superhero movie castings of all time. So be sure to tune in next week for that. All right. You got anything you want to say, Thor? Give me treats. Give me. There you go. Oh. You got it. All right. We'll see you kids next time. Excelsior.
All right, true believers. When this pandemic is over, y'all need to get your butts back to the movie theaters because those places are hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we should support them, or we're not going to see as many movies.
Yep.